Yes, good day and welcome to another fantastic edition of 360 Sports. It's another exciting moment in the house today. We've packaged what we call beautiful headline stories and stories that we need to analyze. And these are stories that's trending, as you all know that on the show we tell you what's happening across Nigeria in everything that has to do with sport. My name is Mudashiru Shitu, and I'll be your host in the next few minutes to take you through the lines and to give you more knowledge and more understanding as regards to what we are talking about. That's why most times I don't do this alone. I have special guests in the house. I have men that they write, they talk, everything that has to do with sport. I'm going to start on my left, and I'm starting with Mr. Lolade Adewuyi, who's the media consultant for Cambe Media Outlet. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Yeah. How's it been coming? I hope it wasn't as stressful as...
No, we're just in a period in Nigerian football where so many things are happening and you don't know what's going to happen next. So it's stressful, but happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Yes, I might have Mr. Otu, who is also a sport journalist, but he has a very special bias for rugby. But he's going to join all the discussion today. So, Mr. Otu, it's good to see you.
It's nice. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, now I can notice that you're wearing an Aqua United jersey.
Definitely.
So, are you hoping Aqua United wins the Aito Cup?
Yes.
Okay, you're even from there.
I'm Akwa
You're from Akwa State. No, that's expected. So, yes, on a very note, we're starting on the show. And we're starting with the NFF election, the 2018 NFF election. And we know that Amaju Melvick Pinnick is really contesting. He wants to go back there. Again, we also have Taiwo Ogunjobi, who is the former secretary of the Nigerian Football Federation. And also we have Aminu Megeri, who was the plan that took that Amaju Pinnick took over. From others in the vice president position, we have Sheyi Akinwumi, who is also the chairman of Lagos State Football Association, and is the first vice chairman. He's coming again. He's probably, let me use the word, running mate for Amaju Pinnick. It all depends on that. And we also have another man from Ondo State who also is making sure that his fellow brother doesn't get that slot. But time will tell, because we have about 44 delegates to choose. Other positions, we have the chairman of chairman, and we also have the NFF committee, technical committee position also. We also have the position for the committees that will have to drive Nigerian football in the next 4 years. For me to really discuss that, we have Lolade. What's your opinion? Not forgetting to add that there's a release just of recent of a petition that was got into the hands of the electoral committee as regards to Megay. But before we talk here, what's your opinion in this election?
Well, it's taken a long time to come to this state. There's been so many problems. The courts, and then last week we still had was it last week or Monday, a release that there was going to be, an injunction to stop the elections going forward. And there was a video that came out, as in 2 days ago, about the Minister of Sports saying he doesn't recognize that he's not aware of elections taking place in Nigeria in football, So for us to have come to this far, they've withstood so many powers, but FIFA and CAF have sent observers, so they recognize the election, and I think it's really important that they put their legitimacy behind the elections taking place in Katsina tomorrow. So the NFF has come to a place where it needs to evolve. You've spent 4 years with the Amaju Pinnick board, so now there's elections for a new board to take charge. Will it be Amaju Pinnick? Will it be somebody else? Will it be the old former president, Mr. Alhaji Megeri? Or will it be the former Secretary General, a former defender of the national team, Chief Taiwo Ogunjobi? So the elections in Katsina will show us what will happen, but my fingers are still crossed.
What do you expect? What do you expect of such an election?
Well, I'm not a delegate. There are 44 delegates that will vote. It's important that they know the plans from each candidate for Nigerian football. Personally, I would like to see the elections are successful, because this is usually the where we have the problems for the next 4 years, when there's no conclusive elections, or because from 2014 you had two elections, even though one was not recognized by FIFA and one was recognized, but then people have gone to court since then and been battling Nigerian football. So we need to have a successful election, and so that we can have progress over the next 4 years. Maybe we'll get continuity. It depends on the delegates, on the 44 people that will vote. Maybe we'll have a new board, so it still depends on them. We can, make punditry and talk, but it
depends on the delegates.
Yes.
So let's look at this before we look at a petition that got to the hand of the electoral committee, where we have the petition says that they've accepted an allegation that Alhaji Megiri certificate was a forged certificate. This time around, what do you think could be the implication of such allegation, or do you think it's just normal witch hunting for a contender?
It's interesting that this story has come out today, a day before the elections, but from the timeline, from the release by the electoral committee, they said they got a petition they received 2 petitions, one on September 14 and one on September 17. And from what I learned, that the timeline for making objections against candidates had closed, but these people insisted that they needed to submit these petitions, otherwise they would go to court. So their petitions, both petitions, I think Alhaji Gara Gombe and one other person is that Alhaji Megiri's credentials were not genuine, or forged or fake or something. And then instead of outrightly banning or restricting him from contesting in the elections, the committee invited Alhaji Megiri to come and defend himself with his original certificates. So, and he said he would appear before the committee on the 15th of September, which he didn't. And 2 days, days after, they've now come out to say we are giving him provisional admission into the elections, but the rules would have been to outrightly disqualify him, to remove his name from the ballot. But I think they do not want to get into a problem, create further problems whereby they are already struggling with legitimacy issues, especially with the minister now saying he's not recognizing that there's elections going on, and then the problems with the Chris Giwa issue that's still in court. So if we then disqualify Alhaji Megiri, who has a following, a former president of the NFF, it would create more problems. So we'll give him, some time. For peace to reign, as he said. So you may participate. But what if he wins, What if he ends up winning? There will be question marks against on his legitimacy, So there are so many problems.
Yeah, there's so many issues. We can only hope that we get the best. But before, let me just hear your opinion, Mr. Otu, on this. Do you think Amaju Pinnick will win the election again, in the short of his statement?
Basically, he has. I'm even surprised seeing Alhaji Megiri coming back. I'm also surprised seeing coming back also. These guys, they've had their say, they've had their own time in the NFF. But let's give it to Amaju Pinnick. He has done so well in the last election, despite the fact that he had 1 or 2 issues with Chris Giwa and also the Minister of Sport. But I still see Pinnick still remain as the president of NFF.
On that very note, Otu said he still remains president, but according to Lola Deyi, feels that we should allow the date come and see who wins the day. But if I'm going to ask you on the direct question before we go to the next topic, do you see Amaju Pinnick winning this election?
I think he holds all the aces. He's had some, his tenure started out really in troublesome waters. He had to deal with the Giwa issue, but then he got legitimacy from FIFA. FIFA has backed him through it all.
So you expect him to win?
And his reason in global football, exponentially, he's become the first vice president at CAF. He's on the FIFA competitions committee. He heads the AFCON committee at CAF. He's helped a lot of other Nigerian administrators into positions at CAF. He seems, he understands understands the terrain. He holds so much influence. He's brought in a lot of sponsors. They are his friends, and he's brought them in, which we did. Somebody said that. I think I read somewhere on social media yesterday that every 4 years when we qualify for the World Cup, sponsors fall over themselves for the Super Eagles. But no, it's not true. What we've seen this year is higher than what we've had in the past. Even before the World Cup qualification, we had massive sponsorship from a company like ITO that came in based on personal, recognition from Mr. Pinnick, and also he's done well in terms of that, making Nigerian football more marketable, and also I think he could win. He definitely
will win.
Maybe not. we are not sure of what people are thinking, but he could definitely win. He leads. He's the leading candidate for the election.
He's the leading candidate. And let's look at other issues. We have to look at what for the 17 AFCON qualifiers. There's a new format that does not go well with a lot of people as regards to the qualification for the 17 AFCON in Africa. And that's to say that it's going to be zoned. And CAF have said that because they want more participation. So they divided. There was WAFU A, WAFU B, and WAFU A, we have Nigeria, we have Ghana, we have Niger, who is the hosting nation in WAFU A.
WAFU B.
WAFU B, thank you very much. And unfortunately for us, we defeated the host Niger in the games. But in the final, we defeated Ghana. And Ghana will not be in AFCON 2017. That's talking about, that's AFCON on the 17th. Ghana will not be there. But let's start from the point that we won. What can you say about the corps of players we got?
Well, you realize that we lost several players to the MRI thing before the tournament started, and we still went on to produce a tournament winning team. I think we've got a team that has a lot of character. We lost the first game 3-2 to Burkina Faso, but picked up ourselves afterwards and trudged and fought and dominated all the way to the title. Even though we drew in the final, played 1-1 against Ghana in regulation time and then won via penalties. We deserved the victory. We fought. Our boys fought. So it's a good team, I think. I saw only one match live, but I saw some playback clips of a few other matches they played. I think we've got some,
right?
Well, at this stage, no pressure. I think we've put pressure on our under-17 teams over the years. We want to win at under-17, and that's why we keep having problems where we win by all means, and then after a few years, you can't see any of these players again because they were maybe not the age they claim to be, and the coaches cheated, and everybody just wanted to win. We should stop putting pressure. This is a cadet tournament. Of course, it's the building block for future football, future players, but then we need to ensure that we have better ways of getting our best players locally, not just to the under-17 tournaments, because we usually depend on the under-17 tournament for the next cycle of players. But eventually, many of them fall by the wayside, and we cry foul. Why did this person go to Europe at this early age? But we need to have. If the Nigerian league system was working and the clubs were mandated to have youth teams, we will consistently have good players coming through. Now you realize that many of these players in this under-17 team came through the 15 MPFL championship. So if those clubs continue to play in the play regular under 15 leagues, and then they're having players come through, then we can have more talents coming through. So everybody doesn't have to wait for the funnel of the under 17, where they start to bribe coaches, and then the coaches cheat and collect money from everybody. And then, so there needs to be so many things done so that we can have a better way of getting our talents. But I praise the boys, I praise the coach Manu Garba for ensuring for getting through to the African Championships.
Yes, congratulations, Manu Garba. It could have been the Ghanaian side because they ended 1-1. We went via penalty, and a lot of people have been crying foul that the format is not a good representative of football in that zone, because Ghana and Nigeria are the best known age grade footballing nation in Africa and the world. Ghana is the only African side that has won the Under-20 World Cup when it was hosted in Egypt. That aside, we will not be seeing Ghana at the Under-17 AFCON, and that means we automatically they will not be at the World Cup. That will be a talk for another day, whether the format introduced by CAF is a good format or not. But what CAF is saying is that they want proper representative from across the continent in Africa. Yet away from football, we will be going straight to rugby, where the Black Stallions of Nigeria lost to the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire in Cote d'Ivoire. Tell us what happened at the Rugby African 7, Mr. Otu.
Yeah, we just lost our games. It was one of the tests which we had after the suspension. And going back to the league itself, we just concluded the league from each different zones. The Southwest zone, which was won by Cowrie, the South-South zone, which was won by Rocket Bull Rugby Football Club, which we also saw Barry also winning the North zone, and Plateau Rugby Football Club also winning the North Central zone. But most of these guys being put together. We have the new coaches in terms of Mr. Branson, where he took these guys. We won our test match against Niger in Niamey, which was 54-17. So after that test, we had to prepare for the sevens, which was concluded in Ivory Coast. Going into the rugby sevens in Ivory Coast, we had 4 rookies. We had Jeremiah Peters. We had Samuel Akpabio. We had Monday Moroguvia, who was the MVP.
That's Alex Monday.
No, Monday Moroguvia, who was the MVP for the Southwest zone, just concluded. Now, going into the rugby sevens, we won our first 4 or 5 games. It was in the semis against Burkina Faso. We conceded. We never conceded during the group stage, so we conceded against Burkina Faso. Then on the final match, we played against Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. But unfortunately, according to the technical director, Mr. T.C. Williams, he mentioned there were some bad calls which were being made by the referee. And we also mentioned that we also had some injury scare. We had like Samuel Oppo, whose foot was being strapped like 4 times. Assis Ladipo also, he had some injury scare, but they gave a good account of themselves in Ivory Coast. But unfortunately, we lost them.
What's the implication of the loss to the final? Different folks. The Eaglet won the final. Rugby 7, the Black Stallions lost the final. What's the implication? Is that the end of the road for the Black Stallions?
It's not the end of the road. We still have more qualifying games to play. Okay. We also look forward in more competition, because after not participating in several competitions due to the fact that we were suspended, and we also look forward in playing so many. We will be playing Ghana, like I said earlier, but there are still considerations if that match will be holding or not.
Okay, now the hope is not lost for the Black Stallions.
No, it's not yet lost.
That's still games to play to qualify for the World Cup.
No, it's not for the World Cup, for the Tokyo Olympics 2020. So we are out of the qualifying series now. But this match that just ended, it was the Western region rugby sevens. Then the Eastern rugby sevens will be kicked off on the 29th and 30th of September.
Okay, there's still more time. So now we are back to Africa.
We are back to Africa
after the suspension.
Yeah.
So we start hearing the Black Stallions name every now and then.
Every now and then, definitely.
Yeah, so for those of you that lovers of rugby, it's time to put on your jersey. The Black Stallions, that's what they call the Rugby national team of Nigeria. They've been doing so well. After so much suspension, they are back to record. They lost the final, but there's still a lot of petition to the poor officiating in Cote d'Ivoire that made us lose. We'll give you more updates on that. Let's not forget, it's still live here, and I still got my guests on the show, and we'll be looking at one sport that probably be the second sport in Nigeria after football. I, for one, I rather think table tennis is one sport after football. But a lot of smack on my faces for saying that. But if it's basketball, then we are talking about basketball right now. Lolade,
Yes.
basketball, we've been doing so well like never before. Our international friendly games against Rwanda, we defeated them. The guys are coming, it's a mixture of the rookie players, fresh and new. Ike Diogu, who is the captain and part of what it was in the past. They're all there with the new ones, Stanley Okoye and all that. We've been winning, we're keeping 100% record. We probably, that made us qualify for the World Cup in China later next year. Tell us the journey so far for the Tigers.
Well, the Tigers won the African title in 2015 and lost in the final last year to Tunisia. But there's been a call. We've qualified for 2 Olympics back to back. And so you can see that there's been a rise in Nigerian basketball, and it's impacted on the fact that we're now getting more young players in America, you know, because America is the home of basketball, and they're getting to, okay, Nigerians, their parents are Nigerian, and be like, oh, this is an opportunity to play international basketball. I can play with the Tiger, I can play with the US national team. And then so they are coming. And so we are hoping that we can continue to manage this interest. Unfortunately, there's been the problem in the NBBF, but still, which is how it has affected domestic basketball. And we have to be sure that we are playing well internationally with these players who are based abroad. We do not neglect the domestic basketball scene. I was hoping that when we won when our men won the 2015 title and the women won last year, that we would translate that into domestic resurgence of basketball. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened. But we've kept our dominance on the continental stage and now won 9 straight matches to qualify for the 2019 World Cup. The Tigers, we defeated Senegal, one of their fiercest rivals on the continent, with NBA players like Georgie Deng and all. Still, it shows that there's quality in the ranks of Nigerian international basketball men, and you know it's good for us. And our women as well are going to start the Women's World Cup in Spain this weekend. So Nigerian basketball is on the rise despite all the troubles. But let's not be fooled. We need to resolve the administrative troubles so that we can maximize the gains and then bring it, localize the gains and have domestic growth in basketball, so that basketball can authentically become the second sport after football in Nigeria, like your statement said. But right now, nobody knows anything about basketball apart from the Tigers and the Tigresses.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you think you continue patronizing the guys playing, Nigerians playing basketball? Do you think it's a factor that's affecting the local league? Because a lot of people say, why don't you come up these players that plays in the local league to be part of the team? So which of the fronts are you in? Because if you continue calling the likes of Aminu, Ike Diogu, Stanley Okoye, and the rest, the hope of African and Nigerian basketball players that reside in play for Nigeria here will be dashed. They'll be thinking of leaving the shore of the country.
Well, it's happening in football, you know. We focus on foreign-based players. So basketball is only taking that cue. And now even basketball is doing beyond that. They're even nationalizing players that are not Nigerian. They nationalized a lady, for an American lady for the women's team because they want higher quality players, you know. But we need to be able to translate the glory of international basketball, not translate it into because it would automatically, but the interest in Nigerian basketball in the national teams, if we could bring it into domestic basketball to grow the sport, to ensure that many more younger people are able to dream of playing basketball. There are courts around in several places around across the country. Then these young people who are picking up the sport can enter into teams and play in the league. Division 1, Division 2, Division as much as possible, and then be able to ensure that these people have money to feed, to eat, pay salaries for young players in the league, and then we'll grow the sport. Because that's what happened. Angola's basketball is very domesticated. When they were dominant on the continent, it was because they had great leagues, domestic leagues, and so their players were not from the NBA, but from the Angolan league, and they played and they dominated all the teams. Even when we had NBA players coming in, we couldn't beat Angola for several years. Let's hope
that they're hearing you, Babs Ogunade, Samuel Edu. And also not forgetting Musa Kida hearing you to make sure that let's know they are aware. Yes, also it's basketball, and what can you say as regards to the 100% record that we had? We've not lost. We played against Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Central African Republic, Cote d'Ivoire, and all that. This is like the best time for Nigerian basketball. Yes,
it's the best time for basketball in the country. But I can still remember those days when I go to the stadium to watch basketball. You remember the Canopilas team coming into Lagos to play during the North Conference and Southern Conference. I can see one particular player, Mohamed Umar, who is a very good three-pointer. He can shoot the 3 points anywhere from any angle. But the league itself is not really coming up as it used to be. We find no less spectators going into the stadium to watch basketball. But I still believe the 100% record of the Tigers is a good one. But we need to bring our own local boys into the national team.
It's time flies when we have fun. I wish I could stay longer than the schedule. I hope maybe my director one day, my producer one day will give me more time to let engage this vibrant mind and intellect on what we call sport. It's a very good one. Thanks for having you, Mr. Too. And we can only hope that they rectify the controversial win of Nigeria. Maybe by the time we have here, we know that Nigeria actually won that match instead of Cote d'Ivoire. Hope to see you very soon. Yes, on my right, I have the man I respect so much, like I do for both of them. Mr. Lolade Adeoye, it's good to have you in the house, and make sure that I get you back into us next week, because next week there'll be the Nigerian Open. That's talking about lawn tennis in Nigeria.
Lagos Open.
Lagos Open. Yes, that's talking about lawn tennis in Nigeria. Mr. Lolade, it's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
For me to the rest of you, don't forget our Twitter page, that's still the same, and don't forget you could drop your comment and your like and all your message on YouTube to get much from us. And I like I do say at the end of this program, from me to you, enjoy the rest of your day.